Are you a pro wrestling fan? Then odds are at some point in your life, you were a backyard wrestler. In this new series, I'm going to take you through how we came from this to this. It's a long story, covering nearly 2 decades. But if you're a nostalgic person missing the backyard days of yesteryear and a simpler time of the 90s and early 2000s, this is the story for you. This is Backyard Wrestling Cinema. Welcome to Backyard Wrestling Cinema Season 4, Episode 13. It is February of 2003, and the show starts off with the Old School Alliance, my all-time favorite faction, the thing I'm very proud that we did, and it was a lot of fun for me. The Old School Alliance featured myself as Denver Street, Hellspawn, the United States champion Homeboy Joe Slice, and for a short time, Viper and X. Last week, we had set up a tournament for the B4W World title. Myself as Denver Street would take on Rico DMF in the finals, and that match would happen on this episode. As I was cutting my promo, TJ Money made his way out. Last week, TJ Money was a part of the XWA. He was ultimately dethroned as the XWA champion, as Christian Greed, the XWA owner, had favored newcomer Tommy Thunder. He had the old B4W belt, and he proposed a deal for ownership. And I don't know what our justification was, but he had the physical belt, and I was like, sure, I'll just make you the owner. And that's what we did. The team of Viper and X, collectively known as, wait for it, Viper X, would take on the returning Mr. Benjamins. Mr. Benjamins had been portraying the character of Minister Mark Moses for a number of weeks, and the idea was we wanted to separate him from TJ Money. We felt their characters were too similar, and we wanted him to do something different. And initially, Mr. Benjamins did not take to heart the Minister Mark Moses character. In fact, there was a while where we thought we were just going to have to get rid of him entirely because he was putting nothing into it. He still gave it all he could in the ring, but when he walked out, he just looked like this depressed guy, and it just didn't fit the character of what we were trying to do. So after a number of weeks, and we finally had an opportunity in a storyline for Mr. Benjamins, we were able to bring him back, and it truly reinvigorated that character. It gave it a completely fresh approach, and the storyline was that he had been siphoning money from the church the entire time he was a minister, and that made him rich.
All that, you know what? You were right. It was a good idea. So I've been smartly dipping my hand into the collection plate, taking money here and there, you know, and then investing my money. And now look at this. Millions upon millions upon millions.
This was a hard-hitting back-and-forth match, and Benjamins loved that style, and in the end, he would win.
Oh, Benjamizer! Another pin. 1, 2, 3, and Benjamin!
And it was the last time we would see Viper and X for a long time. Next up, the United States title was on the line as Homeboy Joe Slice defended against TJ Money and Hellspawn. Hellspawn the week before had stolen Rico's hat. Ooh, scary. Now, why did he steal the hat? Well, don't worry, because Rico DMF would go into great detail about exactly what happened.
My hat's missing!
Or not. Now, the reason he stole Rico's hat was that was kind of Rico's trademark. Every time he would come out, he would turn his hat as he was saying, I am Rico DMF, and he would turn the hat, and it was kind of like his gimmick. That was his people's eyebrow back then. Rico came out in the end and attacked Hellspawn, and this allowed Homeboy Joe Slice to seize the moment on TJ Money and retain his U.S. title.
Stop it at all! What are you doing? Do it! Fire it! And Homeboy set up, and the drive-by! Nasty drive-by, there's a cover. 1, 2, 3, and...
Next up was the finals of the B4W World Title Tournament. It was Rico DMF, who we had just seen, taking on myself as Denver Street. In the end, thanks to a distraction from Hellspawn, who had been feuding with Rico DMF, I was able to hit my finisher, the Street Sweeper, on Rico DMF and win the B4W World Title for a record 7th time.
Playing possum. Oh! And now the knees. Oh, yeah. Rico down. Rico hits the free fall, and Denver Street to me. 1, 2. No! Denver Street has kicked out of the free fall.
He wants it so bad, ladies and gentlemen.
That was one of the most vicious free falls I've ever seen. He's going for it. Oh! Hey, wait a minute. Going for the crime, but Hellspawn
He's got the hat.
Yeah,
Throws it in his face.
Right in your buddy.
Oh! And Denver Street. The discretion by House could have done it right there. Comes off it. Oh! The street sweeper, almost breaking Rico's neck. The pin. 1, 2, 3.
And I know that sounds like a lot, but truth is, we had a lot of people that came and went during the first 2 years of our show. And I think the first 5 title runs I had were before we were ever on TV, maybe even 6 title runs before we were ever on TV. And my thing was always that I wanted to be the guy who lost the title when it was somebody's first time to be the champion. That was a big thing for me. I loved doing it. And it would be a number of years, I think another 4 or 5 years until I ever let somebody else do that. But every time somebody ever won the world title for their first time, it would be against me. And I don't really have a justification other than I just liked being the guy to pass the title on to a first-time champion. Next up, the second half hour was the XWA show. The Beast defeated Rob Blivius.
Oh, but the beast infection has been nailed. That should be it. That's all she wrote. 1, 2, 3. And that seals the...
The XWA champion Tommy Thunder was out next with owner Christian Greed. Thunder would defeat Rob Blivius and the Beast.
Those are my Tommy. Galactic drop.
This could be all if the beast does not break it up.
The Beast is still injured from hitting his head on that ladder.
Goes for the pin. Referee should be counting it. No, but...
Whoa, right on Blivius. Pinning both of
2,
them.
3, and Tommy.
Afterwards, Christian Greed issues a challenge for our next pay-per-view, When Worlds Collide.
Big and bad you guys really are? Why don't we do it at the next pay-per-view, at When Worlds Collide? Why don't we put our cards on the table and make it for everything? How about champion versus champion? A match between former best friends. The B4W heavyweight champion Denver Street against the XWA champion, the franchise, Tommy Thunder. And you know what? While we're at it, why don't we go for everything? So TJ Money, you want to be a big bad owner strutting your stuff and everything? Well, I tell you what. Why don't you and I put everything on the line? You against me for total ownership.
And to close out the show, we had this music video that the music was When Worlds Collide by Powerman 5000, I think was the band. And we can't obviously play the music on this because YouTube is a real about that. But here's what the video looked like, and I'll just alter the music, and you can use your imagination. We're just 2 weeks away from when worlds collide. It would be the B4W versus the XWA with the winner taking all. That's all for this week. We'll see you next time right here on Backyard Wrestling Cinema.
Setting him up for that patented his patented pile driver. Double clothesline. A double choke slam right to the back of the neck.